Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our channel. The survivors of narcissistic mental abuse often find themselves navigating a minefield of emotional triggers, where even seemingly innocuous phrases can unleash a torrent of painful memories and feelings. These triggers serve as stark reminders of the psychological wounds inflicted by manipulative and controlling individuals. In this extended exploration, we delve deeper into 7 specific phrases that have the power to evoke trauma in those who have endured narcissistic abuse, providing a comprehensive understanding of their impact and the emotional scars they leave behind. Number 1. You're crazy. Have you ever noticed how certain words can feel like a punch in the gut? For those who have endured narcissistic abuse, specific phrases can bring back a flood of painful memories. Consider the phrase, "you're crazy." On the surface, it might seem like just a mean insult. However, for someone who has been subjected to manipulation and emotional torment, this phrase can feel like a stab in the heart. This phrase is more than just name-calling. It's a calculated attempt to undermine the victim's self-worth and sanity. When someone is constantly subjected to gaslighting and emotional abuse, they begin to question their own reality. Hearing "you're crazy" reinforces the idea that they are flawed or unstable, echoing the abusive behavior of the narcissist who once controlled them. It's a cruel tactic designed to keep them under the abuser's thumb by sowing seeds of self-doubt and insecurity. This emotional manipulation can make victims feel as though they are drowning in a sea of confusion and self-criticism, struggling to maintain their sense of reality. Number 2. You're too sensitive. Some words have the power to cut deeper than others, and for survivors of narcissistic abuse, phrases like "you're too sensitive" are particularly harmful. This seemingly harmless comment is more than just a dismissive remark. It's a way to invalidate their feelings and experiences. For someone who has been through emotional trauma with a narcissist, this phrase is like pouring salt on an open wound. The narcissist often uses this tactic to make their victims feel as though their emotional responses are overblown or irrational. It's an attempt to belittle their feelings and make them feel weak for simply being human. This strategy can make survivors question their own emotional validity and feel as though they must apologize for having feelings. It adds another layer of emotional injury, reinforcing the abuser's control by making the victim feel insignificant and unworthy. Number 3. You should be grateful. Have you ever noticed how certain phrases can sting even when they seem benign? For those who have experienced narcissistic abuse, words like "you should be grateful" can reopen old wounds and trigger painful memories. This phrase might seem innocuous at first, but for someone who has endured mistreatment, it feels like a punch to the gut. This tactic is particularly insidious because it manipulates the victim into feeling as though they owe something for enduring abuse. It's a way to make the victim accept mistreatment under the guise of gratitude. Imagine being told you should be thankful for the bare minimum of kindness when you've been subjected to ongoing emotional harm. This phrase can trap survivors in a cycle of guilt and obligation, minimizing their suffering and making them feel as though they don't have the right to stand up for themselves. It keeps them bound in a dynamic where their pain is invalidated, and they are left feeling like they must continuously appease the abuser. Number 4. You're overreacting. The phrase "you're overreacting" can feel like a punch in the gut for survivors of narcissistic abuse, although it might seem like a simple critique. For someone who has been manipulated and tormented, it acts as a slap in the face. This phrase is dismissive and is often used as a classic gaslighting tactic, making the victim question their own perception of reality. Imagine being told that your legitimate emotional responses are merely overreactions. This tactic serves to destabilize the victim's sense of reality. and make them doubt their own feelings. It's a way for the narcissist to deflect responsibility and avoid addressing the real issues at hand. By insisting that the victim is overreacting, the narcissist can continue their manipulative behavior without consequence, leaving the victim feeling confused and disoriented. 5. You're just like him or her. For those who have faced narcissistic abuse, phrases like "you're just like him or her" are particularly triggering. This phrase compares the survivor to the abuser, reopening old wounds and causing significant emotional pain. After experiencing trauma, being compared to the very person who inflicted that pain can feel like adding insult to injury. This phrase is manipulative and hurtful because it suggests that the survivor is to blame for the abuse they endured. It's a way to make them feel responsible for the actions of the abuser, intensifying their sense of guilt and self-doubt. Imagine carrying the weight of someone else's actions and being told you are just like them. This tactic can be suffocating, making survivors question their own character and value. Despite this, it's essential to remember that they are not to blame for the abuser's behavior. They are strong and deserving of respect, and they should not let anyone diminish their self-worth. Number 6. I never said that. For survivors of narcissistic abuse, phrases like "I never said that" can be particularly distressing. This phrase might seem innocuous, but for someone who has been subjected to gaslighting and manipulation, it feels like their reality is being constantly rewritten. It's a tactic used by narcissists to make the victim question their own memories and perceptions. Imagine being told that something you clearly remember was never said. This tactic is designed to erode the victim's sense of reality and self-trust. It can make them feel like they are losing their grip on what is real, constantly walking on eggshells and second-guessing themselves. By denying their experiences and rewriting history, narcissists undermine the victim's sense of self and make them feel invalidated. It's crucial for survivors to remember that their experiences are valid and their truth matters. They should not let anyone distort their reality or diminish their sense of self. Number 7. You're making me do this. The phrase, "you're making me do this," is a form of blame shifting that can be particularly damaging for survivors of narcissistic abuse. It places the responsibility for the abuser's actions squarely on the victim, making them feel as though they are to blame for the harm being inflicted upon them. This tactic is used to avoid accountability and manipulate the victim into feeling responsible for the abuse. Imagine being told that your actions or behavior are causing someone else to hurt you. It reinforces the idea that you are somehow at fault for the mistreatment you've endured. This phrase can be suffocating and lead to feelings of guilt and self-blame. However, it's important to recognize that the abuser is solely responsible for their actions. The survivor is not to blame for the abuse, and they deserve to be treated with kindness and respect. Conclusion. Recognizing these trigger phrases is essential for fostering empathy and understanding for those navigating the complex aftermath of narcissistic abuse. These phrases can deeply impact survivors, evoking painful memories and reinforcing the trauma they have experienced. By acknowledging and validating these triggers, we can provide support and empower survivors to reclaim their voices and rebuild their lives free from the shackles of trauma. If you want to explore more about narcissism-related topics, subscribe to our channel and share your thoughts in the comments. Your experiences and insights can help others navigate their interactions with narcissists more effectively and find healing on their journey. Until next time, take care and stay strong.